Cam Rising, Josh mentioned him. His return to the field went about as well as it possibly could have, I would think. Utah quarterback threw for 5 touchdowns in that win over Southern Utah. So Rising's roundabout journey has been well documented. Zagu even wrote a story about it this summer. Um, Started way back in Austin in 2018 for the Longhorns. Didn't start, but that's where his college career started. Has had 3 different seasons where he has not played at all. One of those was that year when he redshirted, but yeah, just crazy, including last year. So, Josh, I wanted to get your take on this as a guy who covered the Utes. Um, how beloved is Rising there in Salt Lake, and could he rise to the ranks of a Heisman contender? Maybe Heisman finalist, Heisman winner? What do y'all think?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. First off, I'll start with kind of what he's like here in Utah. He's absolutely beloved by the fans. I think he took Utah to a level, obviously, that they've never been to before in terms of, getting to the Rose Bowl. Utah had been to New Year's Six games before, but getting to the Rose Bowl where they had opportunities, win the Pac-12. And so there's always going to be that love. But there's something about Cam where he has this sort of swagger where he is your best friend while also being the ultra competitor at the same time. And I think that exudes kind of beyond just the field, right? I think the fans understand it. I think they understand who he is. He comes out with a lot of confidence and just he is kind of your best friend, right? Like I think he's one of those guys that early on when we talked about him as being the new starter, we would talk to the players and they just say he honestly is your best friend, even if you don't know him, because like you'll walk past him in the hallways and he'll always just want to, ask how you're doing and doing different things like that. That gets a lot of people to buy in on defense as well, right? Like you've got a lot of people that want to fight for Cam Rising. And so there's a lot of stuff that goes on beyond just what happens on the field. Now, Cam as a quarterback, in that Heisman talk, there is potential, right? I don't want to undercut a guy before it even happens. But there's Utah was never really designed up until maybe this year to be a pass heavy team. And obviously those Heisman quarterbacks have to have a lot of passing yards. They have to show a lot. Maybe with how Utah's designed this year, where they want to work more on the outside, where they want to utilize, one of their 6 tight ends that they've got in the pass game. This is an area where yes, there absolutely could be a situation where he could rise to the occasion. Um, but I just don't know if he is that type of quarterback or if that's what Utah's looking for, right? I think, he's never going to be the guy that's out there like a Jackson Dart who's throwing 6 touchdowns in halftime. Yeah, he got 5, but that's just not their game plan. And if it happens, so be it. I think honestly, a good benchmark for Cam is if he could throw over 3,500 yards, that would be a great system for Utah. They don't have a lot. I did the math, and I think there's only two quarterbacks in Utah's history that have ever thrown for over 3,500 yards, which sounds crazy, but that's
Wow.
just how they've been, right? They've always been a
Hmm.
run first, establish the run first, and then, develop whatever passing game you have. This year, they are trying to get more of that passing game. So if there is ever a year that could be the case, yes, Cam could be in that conversation. He's got the skill set to do it. He's not the flashiest. He's probably not going to be a top NFL quarterback in terms of projections, but I think, they love what they've got with him, and I think it's all the intangibles on and off the field that make him a competitor that fans love.
Mm.
And when I think of Utah, I think of kind of a program that's obviously been so consistent for so many years. But I think that kind of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Is that the right phrase? It's such a culture, such a, Utah is Utah. They're going to go and they're going to play good football and they're going to be a team and they're going to, it's everything, do everything kind of the right way to get the end result. There's not one player where they're putting the team on his back. It might be Cam Rising throwing 5 touchdowns. It might be Burt Keithy getting, how many ever touchdown catches. It might be even Caleb Lohner catching a touchdown pass. So I don't think that, while Cam Rising has probably the best odds on Utah to win the Heisman, I don't think Utah is, if he gets hurt, Utah is still probably a favorite to challenge in the Big 12. And I think that says more about Utah as a program than Cam Rising as a Heisman contender.
As
I
someone who
will
has
add,
come,
can I add
go
something
go
to that?
ahead, go ahead.
I think that I agree with all that you said. I think the one little thing though is that you saw how Utah was last year without Cam Rising, and I think maybe that gives him a little bit more of a nod to be in that, right? I agree that Utah is that culture. They are the family. They work together. Everybody is in unison. I would say that Cam maybe elevates beyond what Utah has traditionally been just because of that. And I think you got that example last year. They still went 8-4. So I mean it wasn't a bad system. But I think if Utah wants to be at that upper echelon team, Cam is that guy, right? And so I think, as much as I kind of, pulled him down a little bit and kind of said where he's at, I think there is still kind of that next level guy that he does transcend it maybe more than many have over the years.
Yeah, good points all around. So as someone who has covered Texas high school football for like 30 years now, holy crap. I would say Kyle Whittingham like just feels like an old school Texas high school football coach to me in terms of run the ball, play good defense. That's like every old school, and that's not just Texas, but yeah, I know a million coaches like that. And so I get it in terms of like the scheme, maybe that doesn't necessarily play well into Cam's hopes for a Heisman. Here's what does. If Utah is sitting there at 12-1 after the Big 12 championship game, 13-0 maybe. I mean, within the realm of possibility, I would say. Um, he is absolutely going to get some consideration, I think, just because quarterback for, a team like that, an undefeated or, conference champion team. I mean, 2 years ago, my vote went to Max Duggan as a Heisman voter. So, I think winning does matter. I mean, stats matter, but winning matters too. So that will play well for Cam. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out.